In fact, Richard Weaver wrote a seminal work back in 1946 where he titled it, Ideas Have Consequences. And what was his point? Ideas have consequences. They always bear fruit. Value neutrality is a lie. Ideological neutrality does not exist. Every idea is going to lead you somewhere. They're directional. And Weaver wrote that book, why, in 1946? Because he was reacting to something that happened just a handful of years earlier. World War II and his culture's involvement in the Holocaust. And what he was arguing was this: we should have seen it coming.
Wow.
We should have seen it coming. We bore the consequences of lousy education, lousy ideas that we had been imbibing as a people for generations. So we got what we should have received.
You know what's interesting about that? I've done a study of foreign influence on American colleges, and the Nazis, just like we have Confucius Institutes from the Chinese today, the Nazis had infiltrated purposely higher education, and we're talking about a brand new way, which was the Nazi way, the Third Reich, and all of that. They were promoting that on America's college campuses, and unless we had pulled out of that, we would have gone down that very same path.
Absolutely. And I'm paraphrasing this. This is not a direct quote, but I'm very close. Hitler also said, you disagree with what I'm doing with our culture and our country. It doesn't matter because I have your kids.
Oh.
They're in my schools.
Well, Thomas Sowell wrote something that you shared in social media. He said, ours may become the first generation destroyed not by the power of our enemies, but by the ignorance of our teachers and the dangerous nonsense they are teaching our children. In an age of artificial intelligence, we've created artificial stupidity. You want to comment on that?
Well, Sowell is a hero, and he's spot on once again. Once again, in his cultural critique, he's absolutely spot on. And what he's saying is we're creating an ideological cancer. Why do we have that cancer of heart, mind, and soul in our culture today? Why? It's because we've been consuming carcinogens. You get cancer often because of the things you eat and drink and smoke. And if you're going to consume carcinogens, you shouldn't be surprised to have cancer. How do you cure cancer? Do you put a Band-Aid on it? No, that's not going to cure cancer. The way to cure cancer is to stop consuming the things that gave you the disease in the first place. So one of the solutions that we should take very seriously in our culture today is to stop consuming the ideas that have led us to the precipice of socialism.
Which you defined as nonsense, right?
Nonsense. You're not going to have sense if you don't teach sense. The reason we have a culture of nonsense is that we've stopped teaching the things in our schools that make sense. And those things that make sense are natural law, self-evident truths that have been endowed to us by our Creator.
You know, if we deny truth, how can we ever be competitive with China or other nations? I mean, for example, they're talking about in Washington, there's a school district that doesn't want to say 2 + 2 = 4 anymore because, you know, that's kind of a white privilege statement and so forth. How do we deal with that? I mean, aren't there objective truths?
Absolutely. The irony is that the people that are claiming that 2 + 2 can't equal 4 anymore because it's white privilege are the same people that will argue vociferously that you're wrong and I'm wrong. And that's a fact. So they do indeed believe in objective truths, their own. It's just that when a conservative comes to the table and wants to present an idea that has been conserved by the test of time and has endured the lessons of history, oh no, that's a subjective construct, and to each his own. There is no such thing as a truth, and you conservatives are the only ones that believe it. The thing we need to ask these people, such as these folks that you just referred to, is it true that nothing is true? And then watch their head explode. Can you tolerate my intolerance? Are you sure that nothing is sure? And do you know that nothing can be known? And I want to ask you one last question. Are you absolutely confident there are no absolutes? Be quiet, and like I said,
Wow.
They will explode because they don't have an answer for that.
Well, but unfortunately, they're teaching all this nonsense. It doesn't make sense. And they're capturing our students' minds with it. And at the same time, they're sucking our wallets dry, paying for the college education that's teaching the kids nonsense. So it really is an economic issue, and it's a direct attack on traditional American values and really American competitiveness.
There's no question. There is a solution here, and that's to stop paying for this. Stop voting for school bonds, and stop paying the tuition to send your kids off to these snowflake indoctrination camps. Why would you want to spend 18 years of your life training up your child in the way he should go, and then ship him off to an institution that in the first 18 minutes as you're driving away is taking pride in tearing your values out of that kid's heart, mind, and soul? And if people think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. This is my industry. I spent my entire career in the ivory tower. I know from whence I speak. There is pride in tearing down the very values that you started this program citing. Those values of a Judeo-Christian ethic, belief in an objective truth, a self-evident truth that's endowed by a creator, God, and not just blessed by government. This is the foundation of a free people, and we're not going to be free individually, religiously, or financially if we tear down that foundation.